Hello, welcome to Action Rock Corner. Today, we're talking about Status Quo, the Official Archive Series, Volume 3. And I'm going to do this in 3 parts. Just keep track of this. 1, I'm going to review this. So all you Status Quo fans will know whether or not you want to listen to this and buy it. Second part, how did a guy in Cleveland, Ohio in the colonies learn about status quo and been listening to status quo for more than 40 years? Americans don't know status quo. England, Europe, yes. America, no. No idea what this is. And then the third part, I'm going to explain to the Americans the importance of status quo. Okay, 3 parts. First part, this is great. It's a live show recorded at the Westonbirt. It's a forest. We got a $5 word for forest here. The Arboretum in Tetbury, England. It's a forest that has trees from all over the world. I'm sure it's a lovely place for a show. They have a nice amphitheater there. I'm sure it was a great place to see a show. And when I looked this up, because show's coming up this summer, you guys in England. Sting's coming? That's the only one I recognized. What do I know? Sting. Okay. Everyone hears everything differently, as Siege and Cruelty people say. That other YouTube channel, whatever. So, it starts out strong. Caroline. Big hit. Then goes into The Wanderer. Okay, hold up, guys. You're going, oh, that's an oldie. Oldie mody song. May well be. I was that many years old when The Wanderer was released. Okay, I'm not young. But The Wanderer, I say, is the first sleaze rock song. Yes, The Wanderer is the first sleaze rock song. I said it. I said it in English. I'm going to read some lyrics and I'm going to prove it. I kiss them, I love them, because to me, they're all the same. I hug them and I squeeze them. They don't even know my name. That is sleaze. That's rap. That's every baby daddy song, baby daddy theme song in the world. And that's The Wanderer, released in 1961. We know who your daddy is, Steel Panther. Is Dion, okay, of The Wanderer. So, Status Quo has adopted The Wanderer as a major hit and a major song for them. They also adapted the Doors song. I forget what the Doors song. Terrible. I'm going to move on. It will come to me. Rain, downtown, roll over, lay down. Great set. And for those old folks here, we get an 8-track flashback on this album right here. 8-track flashback, reasonably. That's to say, the introduction to Living on an Island ends the first disc. And then the song begins the second disc, which is to say, he introduces it introduces a song. You don't get the song, you get clank clank. Like our old 8-track tapes, switching between channels. But here we're switching between the CDs. Clank clank. Then you get to hear Living on an Island. I found it cute myself. I'm old. You may not be. Bless your heart. It ends with Bye Bye Johnny, which is a wonderful tribute to the Chuck Berry song, Johnny Be Good. And, it's a great set. Excuse me. I love these archival live albums from wherever the band is, because it's a fresh take on hearing the same song. It's the songs we love, but we get to refresh our love for these songs by hearing them live in a concert we haven't heard. So this is volume 3. There is indeed another 2 volumes. And hopefully this year we're going to get a 4th volume. And I really like it. I think you ought to go check it out on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Status Quo Official Archive, Volume 3. And it's fun. And that's what we're here for. So, great record. Is there any aspects I forget? Oh, this is limited edition. I don't know how limited it is. It's on vinyl, it's on CD. You see, I even get number. Handwritten. I have the 6,707 of 7,000 copies of this CD. Lucky me. They must have saved the later numbers for the counties. Bless her heart. So, is that enough of the review of It's Fun? Go listen to it. Now, how did I learn about Status Quo here in Cleveland, Ohio? It was after college. And 2 stores, Chris's Records and Shattered Records, would have import copies of Kerrang magazine in the early 80s. You know, the early Kerrang. It was just hard rock. No Metallica yet. No speed metal. And in the letters section, they would have a letters section. The letters would begin, they required, before you write your piece, you had to give your 3 major bands that you're into. And so the letter would be, "Hi, I'm Ian from London." You know, one of the Ians from London. And my bands are Purple, and Gillian, and Whitesnake. Those early 80s. America never heard from the Gillian band. And Whitesnake, this is before Slated In, let alone the 1987 album. They were huge in England. And of course, they would bring up Zeppelin, and Sabbath, and Rainbow, and Quo. Quo was one of their 3. Very, very often, of course, Kerrang magazine would write about Quo and their shows, and there'd be advertisements for their albums and the shows in the early Kerrang magazines. So I'm reading this, and of course, the stores I'm in that's selling me Kerrang magazine, Shattered Records was an import store. And they would bring in imports of Status Quo records. And Chris's Records had the taste and the knowledge Then when they got offered a used American pressing of a Status Quo record, well, they'd stop pressing American versions of a Status Quo record in America, in the 80s. But in the 70s, you were still getting a limited pressing. And so there was used records of Status Quo to be bought if you're sharp-eyed and on the hunt in a good independent store like Chris's. And that Status Quo is, at that time and today, Status Quo is a top-level rock and roll band with the Beatles, the Stones, Sabbath, and whoever else you want to name. Now, Status Quo, mind you, for the people who never heard Status Quo, is a classic rock boogie. Hopefully I didn't scare anyone there. Boogie. Yes, they do boogie. And elements of hard rock. But it's also very much a pop band, and that's what they became. Everyone became a pop band in the 80s. Record companies just demanded it. But here, let me give you examples of boogie that you do know in America. ZZ Top in the 70s, boogie. Foghat, boogie. Now, ZZ Top and Foghat would be boogie based on the blues, which is where a lot of boogie comes from. Boogie children. And personal favorite, Brownsville Station, has some boogie to it. Difference with Status Quo is their boogie is not so much blues boogie. Their roots are more in rockabilly and Chuck Berry. As I said before, Bye Bye Johnny is a tribute to the Chuck Berry song, Trying to Be Good. They're into the more rockabilly from the 50s rather than the blues from the 50s and the early 60s. So that is the roots of what Status Quo is and where they come from. So that's how I learned about Status Quo and really began to appreciate them. But I started very, very slow. Just a here and there, found something laying around. And then in the 90s, well, when I found this, when was this? This was in the 21st century, I believe. This told me what Thomas Friedman, the columnist, was saying, that the earth was flat now, economically. That is, you can get stuff from anywhere in the world. And there is no longer, we don't have import sections anymore, do we? Because you can pretty much get anything in the world in America and vice versa. When I found this in a record store in Berea, new and sealed, and for a reasonable price, just in with everything else, that told me that the new day is dawn, that I can get my Status Quo without a special order. And life is good. So, Heavy Traffic is a good record. But what do we know in America? And what should we know about Status Quo? Well, in America, this is, if we know anything about Status Quo, it's this Status Quo. Pictures of Matchstick Men. That is the only hit Status Quo has in America. It's oldie. It's from '68. Pictures of Matchstick Men. And it's not the Status Quo that we really love now. That was when, late 60s and psychedelic and you know, that stilted late 60s pop music with the expensive clothes from, the places on Fleet Street or whatever street it is in London. That's what we heard first. The only thing we ever heard from Status Quo. And I heard the song on Oldies radio, when Oldies was from Elvis to the late 60s, and it would stop. That's what Oldies was when I was a younger man. Of course, now Oldies stations are into the 70s and the 80s. I haven't heard an Oldies station in decades, which makes me happy, trust me. But this was an Oldies station standard. Yeah, well, not quite as high rotation as others, of course, but it was in there. This is a West German import that I found in the cutout section of a chain store in some mall, along with this one. So that's the early stuff. That's not the period we love for Status Quo. They never play any of that. They'll play Pictures of Matchstick Men just for giggles. But this is the Status Quo we love, in jeans. They ditched all the fancy suits, put on jeans, and started Boogie and rock. And in England, they took off like a rocket. And this is what made them an institution in England. They have more than 60 charting hits in England. That's a lot of hits for anybody. And well, it's the most hits in the history of English music from a band. More than 60. When Prince Charles comes to your show, you're institution. You're in. May not be edgy anymore, but you're in. The other classics, Bile Driver. Oh, a favorite run. Hello. I don't know if you're seeing the shades of this. It is a nice cover. It's just the figure. Yeah, it's black on black. Sorry. But Hello is wonderful. My favorite song is here 4,500 times. And right now, the way I'm going, 4,500 times. There's more Status Quo's videos coming up. Status Quo Incorporated is producing product, even through Rick Buffett died 8 years ago. He was the one main partner in the band. He's been gone 8 years now, but Francis Rossi is keeping the show on the road, keeping the band running, but he is pretty much the only original in the band now, if you ever get to see them in England. Crow, another classic from the 70s. On the Level. Rockin' Over the World. Actually, it's a Creedence Clearwater Revival cover. Enunciate, Mr. May. And one of the live classic at the NEC. Great stuff. And I think I got through everything. So, in case you're wondering about the shirt, I sometimes have a conscious thought about what shirt I wear with a review. Now you can read it. MSB is Cleveland code for the Michael Stanley Band. Think the Michael Stanley Band as the Status Quo of Cleveland. That's the issue we deal with. Status Quo is a major band. important band. But in America, they don't know the Michael Stanley Band, another pop band, rock band, and they don't know Status Quo. But they're this close to royalty. I think they got a knighthood or something, whatever they call it, and you know what I mean. I don't think the king and the queen gave them the sword treatment, but they got their honors from the royal family in England, and in Cleveland, Michael Stanley, who's been gone for a couple of years now, also has that kind of status. In your town, maybe we'll have bands like that, famous in your town, but the rest of the world and the rest of the country have no idea what you're talking about. But Status Quo is definitely a band you should know and be familiar with. And you got a couple pounds to lose, don't you? Boogie a bit. Boogie the tuba. You'll be fine. So, before I go, remind myself, like this video if you like it. Subscribe. Ring the notification bell. And leave a comment about your memories. Know what you think. Go find Status Quo here on YouTube and listen to some. Come back. And we're here. We're the best in action rock, garage rock, and classic and legacy rock like Status Quo. So thank you for your time. Go out there, listen to some fresh music. That's the point. Listen to something fresh. And till next time, this is Richard May, your Dr. Rock, saying have fun. And we'll see you again soon.